In this video, we are going to learn about exponents. Let's start off looking at n to the power of 2. N to the power of 2 would be n times n, and that would equal n squared. N to the power of 2, meaning n times itself one time. Okay, let's have a look at n to the power of 3. Okay, how many times are we going to multiply n by itself this time? Well, n to the power of 3, okay, 3 is the exponent. Okay, so n to the power of 3 would be n times n times n. That would be n times n times n would be the same as n to the power of 3. Okay, that's n written 3 times when we write it out as a multiplication sum. N times n times n. 3 n's, therefore that would equal n to the power of 3. What about n to the power of 4? Well, as we worked out last time, n times itself again, and times itself. Because it's to the power of 4, we would write n out 4 times. N, number 1, times n, number 2, times n, number 3, times n, number 4. We're multiplying n by itself 3 times. Okay, that's important. Okay, what about if we were to plug in a number for n? Okay, let's try it. 5 to the power of 2. Okay, 2, its exponent, and because it's to the power of 2, we're going to multiply 5 by itself one time. Okay, we have 5 times 5, 1 5, 2 5, in other words 5 to the power of 2, and that would equal 25. What about if it was 5 to the power of 3? Well, if it was 5 to the power of 3, we'd have to make sure there are 3 5's here. So it's not just 5 times 5, it's 5 times 5 times 5. There would be 3 5's. Okay? Now, working this question out, as we know, if it was 5 to the power of 2, it would be 5 times 5. And 5 times 5 would be 25. This time, we're multiplying 5 by itself twice. Therefore, there would be 3 5's written down, and it would be 5 to the power of 3. So 5 times 5 times 5, that would equal, well, 5 times 5, we know, would be 25. Times another 5 would be 125. So 5 to the power of 3 would equal 125. Okay, let's make it a little bit more complicated. Let's look at a question, an exponent that might have you thinking a little bit. Say you were to have 5 to the power of 0. Okay, now the power of 0 sometimes will swing you and you go, well, does that mean the answer is 0? Well, unless the main number here is 0, the answer would always be 1. 5 to the power of 0 means we leave 5 to the power of 0 would equal 1. The answer would always be 1. 6 to the power of 0 would equal 1. 7 to the power of 0 would equal 1. 3 to the power of 0 would equal 1. And don't forget, the only time it's not a 1 if it's 0. 0 to the power of 0 would equal 0. Okay? Anything else, don't forget, to the power of 0 would equal 0. So n to the power of 0 would equal 1. Unless the n equals 0. And if the n equals 0, then the answer would be 0. Now, any number raised to the power of 1. For instance, 5 to the power of 1 would equal, can you guess? It would equal itself. Okay, any number 7 to the power of 1 would equal 7. Another way to look at this is if we do it like the way we were doing before. For instance, 7 to the power of 1, well, hey, there's only one 7. Okay, so we're multiplying 7 by nothing. It's just 1 7 because of the exponent, which says 1. Okay, it'd be different than saying 7 to the power of 2. That's telling us that there are two 7s. So 7 times 7. 49 would be 7 to the power of 2. But any number to the power of 1 would equal itself. Okay, so 6 to the power of 1 would equal 6. 3 to the power of 1 would equal 3. And 27 to the power of 1 would equal, can you guess? 27. Okay, let's just have a quick review just to end this mini lesson on exponents now, okay? Let's look at 5 to the power of 5. How would we do this question? Okay, well, we know we've got to write 5 out 5 times and multiply 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. So 5 to the power of 5, written 5 out 5 times. We're multiplying 5 by itself 4 times. Okay, 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. And let's work that question out. 5 times 5 would be 25. Times 5 would be 125. Times 5 would be 625. And then, no, this is a big one. 5 times 625 would be 3,100. Oops, wrong pen. 3,125. Okay, so 5 to the power of 5 would equal 3,125. Okay, what about 6 to the power of 2? Well, 6 to the power of 2 would be 6 times 6. There are two 6's there. 6 times 6, which would be 36. What about 4 to the power of 0? Well, 4 to the power of 0 would be 1. What about 0 to the power of 0? Would that equal 1? No, this is the only exception. Don't forget, 0 to the power of 0 would indeed just be 0. Okay, now what about 7 to the power of 1? Do you remember? 7 to the power of 1 would be 7. Only one 7. So therefore, the answer would be 7. Okay? Right, now work on these questions on one of the worksheets provided with this video and see how well you do. Now the next video we're going to be looking at more complicated questions, adding exponents, multiplying exponents, and so on. Okay, so have a go at the simple questions and see how well you do.